Ghanaians need to chill out with the Igboland, Igbo king in Ghana, Igbo kingdom in Ghana, brouhaha, Saga, call it whatever you want. Let's chill out. Something that's impossible, something that will never happen. Let's not wake ourselves up about it. Okay? This guy is saying he's gonna establish a kingdom, they've acquired land. Look, there's always been migrant communities. Always. Migrants have always established communities. Our leaders, our ancestors, our tribes, our ethnic groups have always given migrant groups places to live by themselves. That's how Zongos, you all know Zongos, that's how Zongos came about. Okay, there's always been migrant communities. This is not, 1700s where a kingdom, a people are going to come conquer a place, settle. It's not the same. Okay, we are a country of intellectuals. Let's not be thinking, using our hearts, like just putting our emotions into stuff. This is never going to happen. For you to establish a whole kingdom, it be kingdom where we did talk. It's come on. We know it's impossible. Okay, so let's not overwork ourselves. We in our constitution, we know who is recognized as a king. Okay, let's not forget that we have a constitution. The constitution establishes who a king is, right? That's what the constitution says in chapter 22, 1992 constitution. That's who a king is. Okay, basically it says chief here. Okay, correction, it says chief. Who is a chief? Okay, the person has to hail from the appropriate family and lineage. That's how we know who a chief is. The person has to be recognized, installed, or skinned if you are from up north. Recognized, installed, gazetted. Okay, you see, it's got to be gazetted, traditional council, customary law and usage. Like there are certain things. This is chapter 22, chieftaincy of the 1992 constitution. Now, you see down it talks about National House of Chiefs. They also have a huge role to play in who a chief is. And this is for tribes recognized within the current borders of Ghana. Tribes that are recognized under the constitution within the current borders of Ghana. And you can see under the Chieftaincy Act of 2008, you can see these are the categories of chiefs we have. This is the Chieftaincy Act of 2008, section 58. Okay, now National House of Chiefs. You are hearing National House of Chiefs. This was first introduced under the second Republican Constitution of Ghana, which is 1969, when it was introduced and is formally ratified or established in 1971, when the establishment really came into being. But it was introduced under the 1969 Second Republican Constitution, the House of Chiefs. So the House of Chiefs has a role to play in who is recognized as a chief, where the person has to be gazetted, recognized, published, all of that stuff. Do you understand? That's why I felt I wasn't bothered, I wasn't disturbed. Let me put it that way. Okay, of course, someone saying I'm establishing a kingdom in your country, in another person's country, it can bother you, but don't like you think about it and like, this ain't gonna happen. Because we know who we are as a people. There's no way they can. People went as far as saying, say, the sovereignty of Ghana is at stake. They will take over. Come on, what are you talking about? Do you know since when some tribes have been in Ghana? Dude, there have been tribes in Ghana. Okay, in what we now know as Ghana. Let me correct that. In what we now know as Ghana, there have been tribes who have been here long before even the current established tribes in Ghana came. I know the Ewe tribe came around the 16th, 17th century, according to most historians. The Ewe tribe settled in Ghana 16th, 17th century. Now, when was Islam introduced into Ghana? Islam was introduced into Ghana, into the lands that are within the current borders of Ghana around the 14th, 15th centuries by the Mande speaking people, the Wangaras, through trade, who came from the older Mali, Songhai, Ghana empires, because they had also uh, been introduced to Islam. They brought it down. At that time, the Ewe groups have not settled on the current land of Ghana. Maybe they were still around the Nigeria. We know their migration route, the migration route of Ewes from Ile-Ife, Tado, now Togo, Ile-Ife, Nigeria, Tado, now Togo, Noche, also Togo. Or I think Tado is now in what we now know as Benin. Anyways, they were still around there before currently settling in Ghana. Okay. Now these groups, the Wangaras, do we see them as recognized tribes under the laws of Ghana? No. They've not held land, they've not established kingdoms here. So that's why they are not part of the constitution. They are not part of the tribes that are recognized, formally recognized. Right? It doesn't mean they were not here. They were here. The houses have been here a long time ago, been trading. If you go down south to the Accra, there's a lot of history. Okay, our chiefs have always given land. Our traditional leaders have always given land to these migrant groups, establish their constitution, establish their community. Sorry. So if this Igbo man, if he's duly elected by the Igbos in Ghana to represent them, basically that's what it is. Migrant groups, someone is elected as a chief who represent them, right? If that's the case, of course, if he's able to acquire land to build a community for his people, it is normal. It's not a new thing. It's not new. We have Ghanaians living in. I personally know of Benin. I studied in Benin. We have a Ghanaian community in Benin, the Republic of Benin. We have a Ghanaian community there. My uncles have told me about Ghanaian communities in Nigeria, on the coast. You go there, only Ghanaians speak Ghanaian language. Now in Benin, I know of Benin. So it's not new, right? And we know you cannot establish a kingdom. It's not possible. So why are we working ourselves? Why are we working ourselves up about it? And that's also why I think that the president's response, very measured, very appropriate. Ghana can accommodate strangers. You can represent your people in Ghana, but you should know your limits. Simple. Nothing simple. Like, this guy is so intelligent. Like, you just put it simple like that. Some judge tells that, oh, you cannot be taken for granted. We should not overwork ourselves, knowing who we are as a people. If it comes to fight, do you think these people they can take us on? Do you even think that they can take us on if it comes to fight? Come on, who are we? We have Dagombas up now. We have Gonjas, Mamprusis, Mampulis, Sisales. We have Come Down, the guns, the equipments, or the account group generally. We have the airways. You think these people can take us all on? Habamana. Oh, come on, guys. That's why I said I am not bored and I'm not like overworked about something like this. So we've had migrant groups, we've always had them. They've always established their communities, like Zongos, for instance. It's not new. We have a constitution that protects us, our sovereignty. So what are we overworked about? So let's just chill. It's if the crime is committed, of course I know the appropriate authorities are going to take over. We've made the noise. They've heard us. Right? We shouldn't think our leaders are not dumb. They are not stupid, man. The people who drafted our constitution, they know all of these things. That's why they put all those provisions about chieftains in the constitution. So let's chill. It's no big deal. We've made our noise. Let's chill. We cannot be taken over. Basically, Ghana is Ghana. We are Ghanaians. Let's not forget who we are.